Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, why would you render a buff King DDD and then use it so sparingly? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my dream friend, Mark Mitchell. We are here to talk about Kirby Star Allies today. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Did you know that there are kiosks in like grocery stores and drugstores where they will duplicate keys for you, but the way it works is you put your key in, takes a digital scan of it, and then they will mail you the key in like a few days.
So is that the way it works? Because the only time I've tried to do it, it told me it didn't have the kinds of key that I was trying to copy. Like it scanned it and was like, out of keys.
Maybe this is a different type of kiosk?
Maybe it's a different kiosk altogether. Where were you?
I was at a CVS in Culver City.
Okay, because I tried to do this at a Vaughn's in Glendale. And it did not have the keys that I wanted.
Because it makes sense for them to like do it immediately.
Yeah.
Who gets keys duplicated when you're like, oh, great, when this comes in a week?
Right. Well, I mean, there may be like landlords, right? People who make keys and they know that they're like, that's for the future. There are two types of people. People who make keys for the future. People who make keys for right now.
It's the classic ant and the grasshopper.
That's right. You and I are grasshoppers.
Yes, we play our fiddle all day. And then when we need keys, the kiosk is like, great, see you in a month, bud.
And then we just steal our keys from the ants and we're fine. No problem whatsoever.
No problem whatsoever.
Planning ahead is for suckers. We don't know what the rest of the show is going to be like. But what we do know is that if you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, you are more than welcome to try to do so. We don't know where the game is at the moment.
At what point do we
stop making this claim that people can borrow the game? I don't know. I don't know that we ever do.
It's a problem for another day.
That is a problem for another day. If you would like to get on this list and please borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, which might be coming back to us someday, just email your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and it will come out to you after it comes out to the like 5 or 6 people that are in front of you on the list at this point. But what a fun thing for future you. Another thing that you can do by emailing us is you could come up with a Game Boy Classic Edition. We're going to have a conversation about this on April 19th. And if you would like to contribute your list of up to 15 games, you should email that to us.
So
Mark, what are the
Game
rules?
Boy, Game Boy Color.
That's right.
You can, no Game Boy Advance.
No Game Boy Advance.
You can nominate up to 15 games. You can tell us why you're nominating them. You cannot tell us why. We're just kind of interested to hear what you guys have to think, and then we'll include that into our definitive compilation.
Right. Like, how many Wario games is too many Wario games? How many Mega Man games is too many Mega Man games? This is something I'm going to wrestle with my list.
And you can help us out with making those tough decisions.
And which of those, like, Game Boy D-makes, as sequels is going to make it. Like, Dr. Mario, it's not even in color.
Not even in color.
Not even in color might make my list. Might, in fact, make my list.
And don't let that happen. Send in other games.
That's right.
For us to consider.
Knock it down out of my list. So before we move on to the main part of our show, we have a little bit of an appeal. If you would please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, we can start to amass some more reviews and then possibly go to E3 as press. We need at least 50 reviews on there.
Yeah.
We don't have that at present.
Thank you to everybody who has reviewed us and who reviewed us recently. We really appreciate it.
People who review us favorably, people who review us kind of like, we appreciate all of it. We like it all. Also, just one more little side note. I was on the Unranked podcast recently, this last week, episode 104 or something like that. And we talked about a bunch of Nintendo stuff, including Luigi's Package, which you and I put on the record that we were not going to talk about. We talked about it extensively over there on the Unranked podcast. They play a little bit bluer than we do. So if you're listening with kids, maybe don't check them out. But if you're listening by yourself and you're fine with that, go for it. All right, Mark, are you ready to talk about Kirby Star Allies?
I am ready.
First, I got to know how you played the majority of this game. I know you were struggling to get Clement interested.
I am sad to report that I played the entirety of this game by myself.
Mark, that sounds like a little bit of a lonely experience.
It was fine, but I definitely think it affected my enjoyment, my overall enjoyment of the game.
So what would you say is your overall enjoyment level? Well, first of all, maybe just like, how do you feel about Kirby games in general, and how does this stack up with other Kirby games for you?
So I have a lot of fond memories of playing Kirby games.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't bought any of like the recent ones.
Yeah.
I think the last one I really tried to play was Kirby's Epic Yarn on the Wii. Is that right? What was that one called?
Yeah, the yarn one, the good feel one.
Yeah.
Epic Yarn.
Did not like it.
Right.
And so that was kind of the last Kirby game. I haven't played any of the 3DS ones or anything like that. But I have affinity for the character.
Right. Had you played a lot of Kirby Superstar, from which this game like borrows a lot of its
that was
mechanics?
probably the one that I played most on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that had like a similar but different co-op mechanic.
Yeah.
That we
like a scaled back co-op mechanic.
Yeah, that me and my sister definitely took advantage of.
And so where does this for you fall into the like Kirby does it meet your Kirby expectations, or did you feel like disappointed by this, or what? I mean, because just to reveal my thoughts on the game, I really like this. It is the most fun I've had with a Kirby game. It is outside of Epic Yarn the only Kirby game that I've actually completed, and that I think about going back to.
And you played this the majority of the time with other people, is that right?
Yes. So yeah, I played the majority of the game, like all the way through the campaign with Sarah. Only on like one or two occasions was I playing for like 10 minutes by myself, and then she would like come into the room. Like this, the first night we like played it together, and then I had to like trick her into doing it other times, but she liked it every time. I don't know why I had to trick her. And so yeah, I played through the whole like main story of the game with Sarah, and then this last weekend my friends John and Siri were here, and John's a big Kirby guy, and so we were playing a little Superstar, and I was like, we gotta play Star Allies, you're gonna really like that if you like this game. And it was a blast to play with someone who was like so immersed in how Kirby played and like how the allies played, and so he was like excited to encounter, like, I don't know this enemy, I can't wait to be him. And then the John and Sarah and I were all playing together, which is exciting and chaotic and fun. And then like doing the extra levels or the really hard levels or even the challenge modes after that, like all felt great.
So I think maybe then that multiplayer is the key to having a great time with this game, because I would say that I had a fine time with it. I thought it was well made. There are certain like certain like boss fights and things like that I thought were a lot of fun. It scratched that Kirby itch, but I'm kind of like lukewarm on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't really feel strongly about it one way or the other.
So let's talk about just like the experience of going through the game, because I do think it has a lot of novel ways of like presenting itself, and of just like the way it kind of doles out what the game is about. So there's like a little overworld map when you're like traveling between levels, and sort of like the mechanic for how you traverse around that world is different in each one, which I think is cool. And so like the very first one is like, are you in Dreamland in the very first
I
world?
think so.
And it's very like pastoral and green and like cute and everything. And you go to King DDD's castle and like fight King DDD. And when you go into his castle for the first time, like the first like boss fight stuff is beautiful, right? Like the where there's like sun like glistening across like the marble and everything. And then you fight DDD, who is buff, as we alluded to, for like
he like transforms halfway through it,
right? and then you beat him, and then credits roll.
Yeah, that's fun.
Credits roll really fast. Little flashbacks to basically the end of Donkey Kong Country when the fake credits roll. And then most of the game is to follow. And this is sort of a thing in all Kirby games, right? That they start like sweet and get like kind of dark and weird.
Yeah, I would say, or at least the ones I've played.
Yeah. So like from that area, you go to like a more kind of like science fiction-y, like Star World. And this is eventually building up to this kind of giant solar system that you go to for the fourth world. And most of the game takes place in this, is it called Far-Flung? I want to say galaxy, but that's
I think
not right.
that
Maybe it's right. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when we're introduced to like the real villains of the game, which it's like a trio of generals, right? And then like some satanic priest something or other who's like trying to resurrect some like ancient evil. The lore gets really crazy by the end of this game. And like I think the first time you see dialogue in the game is in World 4, right? Like you've played half the game without the characters really talking to each other. And then suddenly, because like Meta Knight doesn't talk to you, King Dedede doesn't talk to you, and then like Flameburge is like or Flamberger, however the character's name is pronounced, like comes in and starts like bullying you, and like some of those boss fights are really cool and involved, and like just expand the lore in a way I wasn't really expecting of the game.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So I feel like graphically the game is amazing.
Yeah,
like it's the first HD Kirby game, and they put so much like care into it.
Yeah,
like it's really beautiful. The animations are really fun. Like the different abilities that Kirby can swallow, and then how that affects even just how you're like running around a level.
Yeah,
it's really fun to see. So yeah, on that front, I think it's like a total success.
Yeah.
Especially for its first foray into high definition gaming. I was kind of disappointed by the music.
Yeah, I think the music is competent. Like there's no point.
Totally.
There's no point where I'm like, ugh. But I think I agree with you that like there aren't any real standouts.
There's no real standouts, and I also felt like sometimes the tracks felt misplaced in like the level that they were in.
Oh,
like there's like I can't remember exactly what it was or like what the tune is, but it's a classic like Kirby theme, and it was done in a really like beautiful lush orchestration and felt to me completely wrong.
Oh, that's interesting.
For like the level I was traversing.
There are, now that I'm like actually thinking about the music, there are a lot of times where the Kirby theme, like the original Kirby theme, is buried in the music somewhere, which I always think is cool. I don't know that I noticed any like misplaced music or music that I thought was inappropriate, but like I'm sure if you pointed it out to me, I'd be like, oh yeah, that is a little bit weird. I did like, there were some of the like hidden levels or extra levels or whatever they were called, that would use more like chiptune kind of sounding arrangements of the Kirby music. I think some even using the like original Game Boy arrangement, which I really liked. When you get, I guess spoilers, but not non-story spoilers for the end of this game, some of the post-game extra level, like there's a section of it where there's a like Game Boy filter over everything, so it's all in that like green and
that's
gray.
Fun.
Which is super cool, but also like kind of jarring after seeing all these characters rendered in beautiful HD for so long. Yeah, so that's interesting there, because there are music tracks from Kirby's Epic Yarn that I put among like my favorite Nintendo tracks. That it's like a Fire Caverns thing that's like just piano that I know I've featured on some of our music episodes in the past. And it's weird that there isn't anything like that from this that I'm like, oh yes, this goes in the Nintendo music canon, you know?
Yeah, and I feel a little bit about the music like I do kind of just like the game in general, where it's like, yeah, it was competent, very like thoughtful, but it just didn't grab me in a strong way.
Sure. When you play the levels, were you playing them to get through, or were you trying to get like the big puzzle pieces in each one?
Yeah, so I would I got the big puzzle piece in each one, and then the ones that had a switch. I would
also
find
hit the switch
as well. Yeah.
I liked it, was generally not hard to do so. But I liked the way you had to like use one power with another just to like access different areas of the map. Like sometimes it was done in a strictly like combat way, like if you use wind on like the fire guy here, you're gonna blast fire at all of your ice enemies and melt them. And sometimes that's like so you can light all these fuses at once and whatever. And it's like I guess I wish that sometimes it went further with it to be that you had to like plan ahead and be like, okay, I need one of these guys, one of these guys, one of these guys, and one of these guys, and there isn't going to be a chance to like fix it. You just have to like know going in. But the game is pretty generous so that it was very seldom in a situation where like you can't go back and get a power when you need it.
Also, usually when you need something to solve a puzzle,
it's right there.
It's just right there. And that's something I feel like other 2D platformers like Super Mario World, even the new Super Mario Brother games, especially with like the mini mushrooms, like the shrinking mushrooms and stuff, where you wouldn't necessarily know you need something until you come upon it.
Yeah.
And then you just be like, oops, I can't get it this time through, and so I'm going to have to go back and play it. It kind of fits with the whole Kirby thing, which if you haven't played a lot of Kirby games or you've never played any of them, they are easy games.
Yeah.
Like they are games to be played together.
Right.
Or
and sort of,
they're not really challenging.
They're just sort of to experience, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to rack your brain over coming up with a solution. You're going to see what the solution is, maybe even see it demonstrated for you on screen, and then you're just going to do it. But there's something satisfying about that. Like, I don't know, when we finished the game, we had like 130 lives or something like that, having died maybe twice when I wasn't paying attention and just like fell off a cliff. But like, especially if you're playing multiplayer, there's really no reason that you should be dying in a boss fight. 'Cause like, your friends can do the fighting for you, and as they take damage or when they die, you can go over to them and revive them, and then just like come back, and there's like no harm, no foul. It's a very easy experience.
Yeah. And again, that's not a bad thing. That is what a Kirby game is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going into it looking for that like depth, it's not really that sort of game.
Yeah, it's not really there. What do you think about the friend power-up pads? So there, where you can transform into, I think it's like 4 different things, right? You can do friend circle, which is you just like kind of rolling over everything like a barrel.
You turn
you turn into just a big circle and you go. There's friend train, which they just do like a conga line and then run real fast. That's basically the most like the second half of the levels in WarioWare, where all you do is like run and all you can do is jump.
And
right?
I feel like you only use the train like once or twice.
Yeah, train is pretty uncommon. It's usually the other 3. There's friend bridge, where the characters stack themselves up Looney Tunes style and then like go over a crevasse and create a bridge of friends.
So that way, like a little dude can hold a key, and it becomes like a puzzle segment. You have to figure out how to get the dude with the key to walk into the locked door.
And then finally the friend star, which is where it turns into like sort of a side-scrolling flying shoot 'em up kind of game. I wish there was more or like mini game versions of all of these. Like I would play a whole game of flying around on the star, or a whole game of tough friend bridge puzzles.
Yeah, I mean, this is different from the main experience, but I also just felt like the mini games in Kirby Star Allies that are included with Kirby Star Allies are not very interesting, and too few of them.
Right. So, do you want to talk about them right now?
Sure.
Okay. So the game starts you with 2 mini games, right? Chop Champ and
like the home run, like
it's a home run bat, but it's like there's like a comet heading towards the planet, and you had to just like bat it away.
Yeah.
And so that one is especially slight because all you're doing is like stopping a meter as it like goes up and down, and then as like a circle narrows in on another circle. And so like that's it. You play the game by pushing a button twice, and that's the end of it, and then you do it again. And then Chop Champ is, you're on either side of a tree that like you're chopping down. You just got to get out of the way of like a weird little bug thing as it's coming down. And yeah, they're super slight. Like even when you like crank up the difficulty on them, there's not a whole lot to the actual experience.
And again, I'm a little spoiled because I'm thinking back to Superstar.
Yeah.
And that has a bunch of different like adventures and mini games of all different types, like
but
that are
some of those mini games are super slight.
They
too.
are, but there's more of them.
Yeah. So when you finish Star Allies, it opens a like a sort of continuous adventure mode and a boss rush challenge. And the boss rush feels like when you're playing Smash Brothers on what's the it's like it's like a history mode or arcade mode or something like that, where it makes you fight all of the characters, all of the Smash Brothers characters throughout history, like in chronological order that they appear.
I can't remember what it's
All-Star
called.
mode maybe.
Yeah.
So it looks just like that. Like you walk into a room and there are like little power-ups for health, and you just like go into a room and fight the next boss. And that was super fun with multiple people playing together and like actually trying to like cranking up the difficulty all the way up and trying to get all the way through. I thought that was a great mode. And the sort of where you can just like keep the adventure going as not Kirby, where everyone chooses an ally to play as, and there is no Kirby in the team. It was fun too. But those are, I mean, admittedly more like just extensions of the main story mode and less like their own mini game.
I just wish there was more of this game in general because
yeah,
there's only 4 levels in the main game.
Yeah. I mean, and that last world is way bigger than the other ones.
Way bigger.
Probably like 2 to 3 times as big as any of the worlds that came before. But even still, it means that the game is, short, maybe like 6 to 8 hour experience. And that's with like getting all the levels.
Going back to what we were talking about before with the different ally abilities.
Yeah.
The site like the friend star was probably my favorite and was used to the best effect in the spoiler alert final boss.
Oh, you want to do spoiler alert final boss? So final boss uses the friend star in a totally different way than you have been using the friend star like previously. How do you describe what the game becomes in the final moments against the final boss?
It's like over the shoulder.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit like a Star Fox, like all range mode sort of thing, where you're locked on to this. I don't even remember what it looks like. It's just like a creature of some kind.
Yeah,
right?
it's a big like it has wings, like a big like bird, like dragon type
around.
thing.
And so you're sort of locked onto it, like you have a constant perspective of looking at it, and you're shooting it in its various weak points. And the second and third and fourth player, if you have them with you, can like aim at different points of the body.
Oh, okay.
Which is cool and fun, and means that everyone is just jamming on the button as fast as they can to try and shoot it faster. And so you're like taking down its weak points and like dodging its attacks, and like it's kind of super cool, right?
Yeah, and then occasionally you will make it faint.
Yeah.
And then it'll suck you in.
Yep.
And then it goes to like a traditional like boss battle type thing.
Right. And you're like sucked into its black beating heart or something. And then, it's like a little bit of a traditional battle, and then it spits you back out. I could have done that fight forever.
I thought that fight was awesome.
I thought it was so
It was such
fun.
a good last like final boss.
Yeah. And because it felt like new and like what you've been doing the whole time. Like all of it wrapped together. And was grotesque because you would go inside this monster thing and fight its like evil bloody eyeball, which is like scary and weird. And that those were some of the times where I started to get like low on health, or like one of my ally characters would die or something like that. Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this: Do you think we are going to see more of this game like come out in the next couple? Like, we know that there are more Dream Friends coming out. I guess they came out yesterday at the time of this or when this comes out. Will there be more to this game than just like adding more Dream Friends? Or because I would love to see more like game modes or like mini games based on the game modes that already exist.
I feel kind of done with Star Allies.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it was, but I guess I'm kind of more interested in seeing, now that they have this HD foundation, what they do next time. I appreciate this. I guess, I mean, having not played it, I want them to get weird with like Planet Robobot.
Yeah.
You know? That excites me more than the idea of playing more Star Allies. That being said, I am interested in playing it with friends.
Yeah, we should play this game together. I think you would have a lot more fun playing with me because I'm a lot of fun. Do you think that there is anything lost here by not being able to play? It's a Nintendo game, so like not being able to play with your friends online.
I don't think so.
But might that be fun if like you were in your home and I were in my home? Maybe not. Maybe there's something about like the immediacy of being on the couch with someone that makes it more meaningful than like playing with someone over an online connection.
I wonder for a game like this if it would just be more frustrating.
Sure,
trying to do it in separate houses.
Because when you're playing as two players, one person is Kirby, one person is the main person, and the other players are the allies. So like if you try to venture away, it's just gonna teleport you back to Kirby. Like there's no bones about it. There's a leader and everyone else. And that's it.
How do you feel about the different allies and like the combo abilities and all that?
I like the combo abilities a lot. I also thought there was a good, if like when I finally got all of the allies, when I had countered all of them, I wish that there were more that just kept going. But it's a little bit of an absurd thing because there's something like 25 or 30 different allies that you can encounter, and most of them have different abilities, either elemental or like combat based. And I liked, going into a boss, like thinking about like, oh, what do I want, like, all right, I want at least one burning Leo so that we can like make our stuff fiery. And I'll get one snowman here, or like, ooh, maybe I need to get one of these rock guys. So we can do like the curling stuff. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. And like picking out your team was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I agree.
What are some of your favorite of the allies?
I really, I would often have myself as an artist.
Right. So you could paint that refrigerator and give everyone health.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like that.
I really liked having I don't even know what they are, like the guys that have the staffs.
Yeah, the like jabber jabs or something like
that.
Yeah,
but then I wanted them to have the electric staves.
Mm.
But I didn't like the little plug guys. Little electric like plugs.
You can is it the wizard? There's one of the
So not the wizard, like the one that basically just looks like a
it looks like a one-eyed Waddle Dee.
Yeah. And then because if you get that power, you just like have this lame laser blast that's not very powerful. But I like when you give the guys with the staffs
that electric power.
The electric power up.
You don't like plug, huh?
No, I didn't. I thought worthless.
Oh man, I like the plug, I like the snowman, and I like the burning Leo, which is the fire one. Just because they're just so simple that like he's just there to like be electricity. He's just there to be fire, and this other one is just there to be snowy. All the rest of them, like there's that excuse me, that like water lizard where like sure he turns things into water, but also he's like surfing around on stuff.
It's funny. Like, cool. I always in my head imagined water. I gendered water lizard as a girl,
as a lady. Okay, yeah. Lady water lizard. I like that. What else were definitely ladies? Artist was definitely a lady. That might be it.
Birdo, maybe.
Was Birdo a lady?
Not Birdo. Its name is not Birdo.
We're calling it Birdo. I like the. I don't know if this was a female character.
Yeah,
or
we're
not.
moving past.
We're moving past that because what is that conversation? But I like the sweepy ones.
Oh, okay.
You have a broom, or you hold up the vacuum cleaner and suck all of your friends into it, and then shoot them all out.
I did not like Sweepy One.
You didn't like Sweepy One?
No, and there were occasionally puzzles or secret rooms that you needed a Sweepy One, and that's when I was like, make the Sweepy One give one of the guys with the staff the Sweepy staff power,
right,
and then get rid of the Sweepy One.
Bye, Sweepy One. No, the ability to do friend, it's like doing friend throw, right? Except all 3 other characters can hop into that vacuum cleaner, and then they're all ricocheting around the room. You can destroy some bosses like that. It's a lot of fun. I also like being the bug, the big bug.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there are 2 bugs.
Yeah. There's like the beetle,
yes,
looking guy, and then there's, I guess, the other big beetle looking guy. I don't know.
The one that's like, he's like a mini boss character. Yeah. I think all of the mini boss characters were fun to capture. Like the Chef Kawasaki is super fun to have around. He can make like a soup for everyone, and everyone loves it. I don't know. There's just so much. There's so much like cute and endearing about this game that I'm not just like willing to overlook its short length or how easy it is, but like just totally forget about it.
Well, yeah, because it's still fun and
Mhm.
it's very cute, and I feel like we see so much personality in a way that we've never been able to see before because the animations are
real
really
tight.
well done, and like, I enjoyed the game.
Just enjoy the Kirby game, Mark. What was there anything from your previous Kirby experiences that you wish this game had that it doesn't?
So, I talked about the Friend Star a little bit.
Yeah.
And I wish that the Friend Star had been, when we were initially talking about it, we said it was a little bit like a side-scrolling shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I'm talking about Kirby Superstar. There are sections in that game that are literally a side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah.
And I liked that. And I wish that the Friend Star was a little bit more like that instead of just a... I guess it kind of reminded me of when you get the huge mushroom in New Super Mario Brothers and you can just like smash through everything.
Sure.
Where you're like, oh, this is interesting for a little bit, but then you're just kind of like overpowered.
Yeah, you're a little OP. Yeah, and like the camera stays like pretty close on the Friend Star, and the Friend Star takes up a lot of space on screen. So like it doesn't make you really navigate between things or like avoiding obstacles at all. If it were to like zoom out a little bit more, and if it was a little bit like the last levels of, I'm going to make a reference that very few people are going to be able to relate to, but the last levels of Kid Icarus, when you get to the end of Kid Icarus, you've collected all of like the treasures of Olympus or whatever that game's about. And so like instead of being a side-scrolling or like jumping up, climbing a mountain, you are flying through the air. It is like a side-scrolling flying shoot-'em-up game, just in the very end. And I wish that Kirby was more like that when it got to its end, because it's such a like exciting and like big way for that game to finish. And we were already saying that it does finish well, but man, it would be really cool to have more of that Friend Star stuff.
And I guess this is not a Kirby thing in general, but the game doesn't reward you for exploration or even trying to explore, because you can't really. Like, there are hidden doors, but they're not really that hidden.
And there's also like a finite amount of it, right? Like there aren't like separate exits, and like, yeah, there are hidden worlds, but like you either hit the switch and you see that you hit the switch, or you didn't and you see that you didn't hit the switch. So like there's not, at least as far as I can tell, missable stuff in this.
Right, and the levels are very linear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the few times I died was in the beginning when I was like, oh, I wonder if there's this ledge here, but why? So I wonder if I like drop down if something will be there. The answer is no, never. There will never be anything if you drop down beyond what the screen can see.
This is something that like Sarah learned pretty early too that like when you're playing and like you get to a door, sort of her like Donkey Kong instinct, her Mario instinct was like go past the door and see if there's anything over there. The answer is always no.
And there's usually like a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Where the level will continue for just a tiny bit.
Just a couple Kirby lengths.
So it almost looks like maybe.
But the answer is always no.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it rewarded exploration a little bit better, especially because one of the things that it does do, or like that you like replaying levels does for you, is that there are little puzzle pieces throughout all of the levels, and all you really get for collecting those is completing puzzles. Like it's not even called, they're called like fun pictures or something like that. It's not puzzle, but like those aren't great. And I'm not sure like why I'm being compelled to complete them. Like I can go into the gallery and see the like 3 of them that I've completed, but who cares? It's just weird when HAL Labs is good at rewarding you in like Smash Brothers kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That like that there would be it shares so much DNA with Smash that like. And Smash is so good at rewarding you for your mundane accomplishments with like trophies or whatever. And this is just like, I don't know. Here's 1/24th of a weird drawing of Kirby answering the phone or something.
But I keep going answering the phone.
There is one where he's on the phone.
Taking dictation at the office.
Here's Kirby struggling with a coffee machine. He doesn't understand Keurig.
But the thing I keep going back to is like that's not what a Kirby game is.
Yeah, great point. Maybe a little weird. This is a full $60 game though, right?
It feels that way. Yes,
it feels like you should be a $40 game, Kirby. Then everyone would love you and no one would complain. All right, that's our discussion of Kirby Star Allies. Mark, let's close out this conversation. I bet our listeners have some opinions about Kirby Star Allies. I would like to hear what everyone else's experience with this game is. I know, generally speaking, it's well received, but I could see where someone would have different expectations of what this is, especially knowing what the Switch turned Mario into and Zelda into. It doesn't do that, right? This is not a reinvention of Kirby. This is not your open world Kirby game. Who even knows what that would be?
Yeah, and I would be interested to know if you played it by yourself, if your experience was more like mine, or if you got more out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you played it with friends, if you didn't like it.
Right. If you had Star Allies in your real life, real dream friends, and they made you hate the game. Let us know all about that. We are Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We just need them 50 reviews, and then we turn into gods, and we can go into E3 and reign over everyone, and they will pray to us, and we will say, I don't know, what does God say?
I can't speak for a god, but I can speak for us.
You can speak for the god.
And I think we would graciously say the names of the 50 people who rated and reviewed and subscribed.
Perfect. That's what you have to look forward to. Follow us on Twitter. Collectively, we are at Nincart Society. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. The Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we do write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my dream friend, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thanks for listening.
Campfire.